So in this video, I'm continuing my rigging for this Winston character inside of Blender. And previously, I have already created all the armatures and IK controls and parented this 3D character object onto this armature, and then did some weight painting. So far, right now, I have done a lot of editing with the weight painting on each bones, including an IK controls here. And what I left yesterday after finishing a video, I discovered some of the weight painting issues on the front leg right here, and you see on the belly right there. And I moved to the forward. I realized that I missed adding a shoulder for both front leg, some like additional leg joints for the front and back legs. So I'm going to press Alt GNR to reset the movements and go back to the editing mode, and I'm going to show the names, and I'll select this spine head right here and press E to extrude, and I'll put the head of the new bone right here, and I'm going to apply the 3D cursor on the tail. So hold down the Shift S. Right now my tail is selected, and I'm going to bring up the pie menu and select the cursor to selected. Okay. And I'll select the head of the new spine bone, and Shift S and selection to cursor. So I'm going to connect the both front leg to this additional bone up here. So I'll Control P, and this time I'm going to select connected and clear parent on this new bone, and Shift select the spine and keep offset. And I'm going to I'll just kind of call shoulder. I was more used to adding a lot of shoulders for the humanoid characters. So on the back leg for a shin, I'm just gonna select the tail of both thigh bones, and I'm gonna use grab and scale to match them both together. And I'm toggle between edit and pose mode to just making sure all the bones are aligned. And I'm going to select both head of the thigh bones and select S to scale and on X-axis. And I'm gonna set the roll on these like leg pulls for the back leg, and just scale them as well to just match the location. Okay, so the leg pull locations and the back legs, the backbone legs are looking pretty well. I just made it a little higher. So now I'm going to select shoulder.L, and I'm going to symmetrize this bone. I just saved this inside of using the quick favorites and do the exact same thing what I did before. Okay, so everything looks good. So make sure to save and change back to the object mode. Select this character mesh, and I'm going to do some weight painting. And change this to the wireframe mode. And move back to the data properties. And I'm going to add additional vertex groups. And this one is going to be shoulder.L. and I pressed enter. And I'm going to enable the mirror on X axis and start painting on the where the bones are located. Just smooth out just a little bit. It doesn't need to be so intense. So after what happened on the inside of vertex groups, it's going to generate the shoulder R after I enable the go to the tools, and since I enable the mirror on vertex groups, it's going to generate the opposite side right here. And now I can able to erase some of the weights on the upper front leg, and this is where all the problems were occurred. So it's affecting the right side as well. So I removed a lot of the weights on near the shoulder bones, and just adding a little smooth. So it's going to have a natural blending between the upper leg and shoulder bone, the neural bone that I created. I'm also doing the exact same thing for the back legs, for both left and right. So I'm going to check the weights, just moving leg bones to just make sure all the weight pinning is all good. Yeah, I think these parts have some like issues here. So go back to the weight pinning mode. Select the left shoulder, and I'm gonna remove some of the weights. I'm holding down Shift to make it blur, to smooth out. Just adding a little bit of weights on the top of the shoulders, and I'm gonna add and remove some of the weights on the upper leg. Okay, so all the weight pinning is done. I'm gonna go back to object mode, and next step, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add the custom bone shapes, so it can allow the animators, and you can able to de-animate the characters much easier without a lot of these bones are in front of the character mesh. Let's go ahead and reset all the movements. And the hotkey is hold down the Alt key and press G and R. And all right, let's go back to the object mode, and let's go ahead and make a custom bone shapes. So before I do that, I'm going to hold down Shift and right click on here to bring the 3D cursor to this location. I press the Shift A to add, and I'm going to add plane mesh. I'm going to add plane mesh here, and I'm going to rename this to shape foot control. Hit enter. And I'm going to press tab to go to edit mode here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to press X to delete only faces. And it's only going to left the edges rather than whole meshes here. And go to Object Properties and copy the name. And inside of a pose mode, and go ahead and select the foot control bone right here. All right, now on the right side, go ahead and click this bone properties. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna close down all the tabs, all the options here. And enable this, make sure to use the viewport display. And on the bottom right here, it says you can set all the colors of the bone. And right here, you can copy and paste the custom object. Right here, I'm gonna select the shape foot control. And now the custom bone shape is applied. I'm gonna change the rotations and location, rotations, transformation, rotation, and the scale. So I put the 90 on the x-axis. And I'm going to turn off the in front. So right now the armature can able to use the X-ray mode to hide and show the armatures. Just holding down Alt key and press Z. And now I'm changing the shape and the scale of the object to match this Winston's foot. Okay, so we're gonna do the exact same thing for rest of the foot control. Now copy the name and select all the foot controls on the Winston armature. Select the back foot controls and another one right here on the front. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to Control and V to paste the name. And once you've done that, do not click anything. I'm going to hold down Alt and press Enter. And what happened now, the selected bone is going to apply the exact same command you did to adding a custom objects. And I'm gonna rotate to 90 degrees and I'm gonna hold down Alt and Enter to apply the rotations. I'm gonna drag to select all the scales and type 1.5 and then hold down Alt to Enter. Now it's going to apply the exact same scale and rotation all together. So now you can select the foot controls much easier than before. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for rest of the bones here. And you have to be in the object mode in order to make custom shapes. So this time I'm going to use circle. And don't press anything. And on the bottom left side, on this option right here, I'm going to turn down change the vertex from 32 to 16, which is good enough vertex that I have. And I'm going to rename this to shape body. So this is for the entire body parts on center. I'm going to copy the name. Go back to the armature. Select both neck bones and the custom object and hold down the Alt and Enter. Make sure to change the rotation on the x-axis. And you can also transform the location of these custom bones as well. Right now I can't see without the X-ray mode. So I'm gonna Shift Alt and dragging the numbers to scale it just up a little bit. So we're gonna use the transform on Y-axis to just bring it up right about here. So now you don't need to worry about enabling in front display. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for spine and hips. Also including a tailbone. Don't forget the hips. And do the exact same thing for the ear bones also. Whoops. Go selected and hold down Alt and Enter. Okay, so this is how you add the custom bone shapes. I'm gonna do some preview to just make sure all the bones are working. And once again, checking on the neck bones here. You have to make sure all the bones are working well while you're doing a project like this, because sometimes the Blender is kind of messes up with the rigging. And for the IK bones, I'm using this Bezier circle. And this one is for the head control. And I'm changing the shapes inside of edit mode. And look, I think it's gonna fit well. And repeats all the process that I did for a lot of the bones here. So now, since I applied a lot of custom bones, and I'm not going to use these shapes again. So I'm going to create a new. I'm going to turn off the light objects here. I'm going to create another bone shape for the IK rigging. And I'm making a lot of these shapes to make a notice to myself that this is going to be an IK bone. So I don't need to So since I see the shape, I don't need to animate them. So I don't have to move or rotate these IK bones. All I need is the leg pulls, and foot controls. So now the IK bones are all set. I'm going to add a shape for the toe controls. Just a reminder again, delete only faces. And what you guys see when I'm doing adding custom bone shapes, I uses a lot of like wireframes instead of just adding like a custom shapes, because that was a kind of uh, because that was the like a default or like a main standard for a lot of 3D animation back in like Maya and the 3ds Max kind of stuff. They were using a lot of like a wireframes and the small, so the animators can not able to selecting a wrong like a meshes or bones. So that's why using a wireframe for a lot of this like bone controls are so popular. But that's just my opinion. Alright, so now the toe controls are working fine. And speaking of wireframe bone controls, for the footroll controls, I'm going to use a plain shapes rather than using edges like previous bone shapes. So I'm going to add plane to object plane right here and change this to edit mode and use to scale on y-axis and press Ctrl R to insert the single edge loop. and you can see better here. And Control B to bevel, and select the faces to bring it up just about here. And I'm going to call this a foot roll control. And I'm not going to delete the faces this time. So let me change the name here. Let's go back to the armature and enable the X-ray mode and select all the foot roll controls on front and back foot, and go down to the custom shapes and press Alt Enter. And instead of wireframe, you can see the actual like a mesh object uses as a custom object, custom bone shape. So in case if you're not a fan of doing like a wireframe as a bone shapes, you can just add any shapes, just like what I did before. You can select them much easier. So now I'm gonna duplicate this object, and I'm going to use this for a shoulder. So I copy the name and go back to the pose mode. Select the both shoulder bones and go to custom object and paste and hit enter. And I think this is happening because when I was symmetrizing the shoulder bones, I think they kind of changed like a rotation on the y-axis. So I'm trying to fixing the rotation of this custom object. I'm just trying to tackle these objects around in the edit mode, to doing my best to match the angles. If this does not work, then I'm going to go back to the pose mode and change the rotation individually. So I'm gonna turn off the in front so I can see the shoulder custom object. Shoulder object is on the outside of the character mesh. So the left shoulder bone looks fine, and the right side is a little opposite. Let me go to pose mode and select the right one and go to the bone properties. And okay. So the -90s does not work. So okay. So all right, let's go back to the edit mode, and I'm gonna try to change the number of the roll on the shoulder right side, right shoulder, and it's changing the number, and it doesn't really seem to work out. Okay, yeah, this is a scale. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just rotate the y-axis. So just go into front mode, and I'm doing my best to match the rotation of this shoulder shapes as best as I can. and trying to rotate this. Everything looks good. Right, so I'm gonna delete all these shapes here and create the new one. And this one is for controlling the mount. Just scale down just a little bit and move upward so it can match the like a bottom jaw, the jaw meshes here. And I'm gonna delete only faces so I can see the meshes more clear. Gonna make a circle, and this one is for the tongue. And I'm using a scale to fit the tongue inside of a Winston's mouth. You can see the tongue is fit right inside of the mouth, and you can also select the mouth controls to open his mouth. And I'm going to do the creating this custom shapes for this eye control. So after I delete only faces, I'm gonna select all the vertices here. And instead of Control B to bevel, I'm gonna control the vertices and hold down Control Shift and press B to bevel the vertex points like this. And I'm going to call this a eye control. And extend the length of this eye control. I just enable the x-axis mirror to grab and move it to the like a right side here or the left side. So the circle shapes can fit inside of the eye control. All right, so everything looks pretty good. I got all the shapes applied. And oh, yeah, I need to put the shapes for this necklace bone. So I'll do this real quick. Okay, it's just test rotating, looking good. And I'm also going to add the the shape for the global control. Right, so instead of change back to pose mode, I'm going to scale this shape inside of edit mode. And just scaling the z-axis. Okay, so I'm gonna delete the shapes. I don't need those anymore. So everything is applied. And last but not least, I'm gonna add shape for global control. I'm just gonna put the name global control shape. Select the armature and apply the custom object. Scale it about here. And now the Winston armature is fully ready to go. And I'm going to change the display as a wire. And turn off the in fronts and name. And now the Winston is ready for animating and posing. Just going back and forth, make sure all the armatures all the bones and controls are working. Oh, I almost forgot these leg bolts, so I'm going to add, instead of UV sphere, I'm going to select the ecosphere and turn down the subdivision to 1. Change the name of the ecosphere to a leg pole. Once you copy the name, then go to the bone properties and hold down Alt and Enter. And now you got the shape for the leg pull controls. And I'm going to scale it down using inside of edit mode. And yeah, there you go. And I'm going to just checking for the one last time. And now I'm going to make a little silly pose for this Winston dog using a eye control and eye trackers and all the armature, all the bone shapes that I applied for this armature. Just changing the poses one by one. So after you're done making a pose, then go back to the object mode and use the shape keys to make this character eye blink. Okay, so this video is the last video on how to add rigging onto this 3D character inside of using Blender. And I hope this video series helped you guys as well. So thank you so much for watching.